work. I'd call that a critical hit. He seems like he's barely standing. All that's left is to finish him off.
Finish him off? How do I do that?
Shove all your evidence into the solution blade and slash as hard as you can. Step right up, step right up! 5 master detectives slain before their time, and Amaterasu Corporation has master in their sights. Truth bombs are about to be dropped. Time for the Deduction Denouement!
The incident unfolded aboard the Amaterasu Express, which was on its way to Kanai Ward. I rushed onto the train as it was about to depart. At that time, the train was made up of 5 cars.
All because you were fast asleep in the Lost and Found, Master. If you kept snoozing, the case would never be solved.
When the train started moving, it was only 4 cars long. The 5th and final one was left at the station.
And so, the culprit scheme had already begun. Meaning Amaterasu Corporation was involved from the get-go.
On the train, the master detectives were gathered together in Car 2. That was the dining car. And the culprit had already mixed a knockout drug into every drink there.
I bet the culprit was the first person on the train, so they could prepare in advance and wait for everybody else.
I felt unwell, and Melanie went to the trouble of pouring me a coffee. But after drinking it, I started to feel drowsy. I was hearing things at the time and thought that I might be seriously ill, but it was actually the drug.
Oh, so you thought yours truly was responsible? Sticks and stones won't do much to a death god, but slander stings!
The culprit sent me off to Car 1 in order to frame me as the killer.
I'm sure the culprit didn't expect you to get sick, Master, but since you look like a super easy target, they probably changed their plan and went after you instead.
Once I'd left, the other master detectives must have fallen asleep because of the drugged drinks.
The culprit then burned everyone to death, setting all those master detectives on fire! On purpose! What a psycho!
This was when the culprit put their plan to frame me into motion. First, they carried Aphex's charred corpse to the infirmary in Car 1.
The very first body we found.
Then, they deliberately left a fire extinguisher near the restroom I was sleeping in. This was done to prompt me into smashing the door later.
Gotta have someone get inside somehow, or else nobody would find the body.
Next, the culprit entered the infirmary, locked the door, and laid down on the bed with Aphex's charred corpse.
Jumping into bed with a charred corpse! And here I thought chivalry was dead! What a gentleman! I'm actually a little jealous.
A knife and cushion created the red herring.
Hell of a way to pretend to be dead.
Furthermore, the culprit set the room on fire just as I was waking up.
While you were sleeping, I felt someone come into the restroom. They must have seen you then and timed it.
When I woke up in the restroom and went into the hallway, Car 1 was beginning to fill with smoke.
Oh, that's some precise timing!
I caught a glimpse of Zulch in the infirmary, with a knife lodged in his chest.
But it didn't take long for the smoke to obscure everything.
That was when the culprit took out Aphex's burnt corpse, switched places with it, and waited for me to enter the room while hiding beneath the bed.
It's just like a magic trick, switching places under a veil of smoke.
Meanwhile, I found the fire extinguisher on the floor, smashed the window, unlocked the room, and went inside.
Just like the culprit planned. And that's why they left the fire extinguisher there in the first place.
After the smoke cleared, I found Zulch's body, burnt to a crisp. At least, that's what I thought. The charred corpse was actually Aphex. The culprit had me completely fooled.
That must have been why they picked the time-consuming method of roasting someone to death. Plus, the body was about the right size.
I bolted out of Car 1 after seeing the corpse.
The culprit was under the bed at that time, huh? They probably laughed at you from there, watching everything unfold like they planned.
I went on to discover the charred corpses of the other master detectives. Around that time, the culprit came out from under the bed and went to the main control room in Car 1. Controlling the train from there, they detached Car 1.
That caused the blackout and shaking, and the power source was switched over to the backup system. So when the train shook, was there or was there not jiggling in my blouse? Take a guess.
While the detached Car 1 was running on a separate track, the culprit went to work, preparing to disguise Car 1 as Car 5.
What about the jiggling?
First, Aphex's corpse was carried to the corridor, and the necklace removed earlier was placed back on.
Then the Car 1 number plate was burned so that it couldn't be properly identified.
With everything in place, the culprit went into the main control room, locked the door, and waited for the train cars to reconnect.
At this time, the culprit was riding in Car 1 on the other track, right?
Yeah, the train, which was only cars 2, 3, and 4 at the time, remained on course.
Since we were in a tunnel, I didn't even realize Car 1 was moving alongside us.
The train we were on went through the tunnel with only 3 cars. When it came out of the tunnel, the car with the culprit in it attached to Car 4. Now behind Car 4, that car became Car 5.
The swap was pre-programmed into the train's automatic operating system, right? Technology sure is convenient.
The culprit, riding in Car 1, attached it to the back of Car 4. That caused more shaking, but there was no blackout this time because the power supply stayed the same.
Additional shaking occurred inside my blouse, but the power stayed on.
After that, I mistook Car 1 for Car 5 and walked right in. The culprit wrecked it so much I didn't even notice the door I had smashed when I was in Car 1 before.
I figured there'd been some kind of brawl. But that was part of the culprit's plan, wasn't it? Also, no one would realize was actually Car 1.
When I found the corpse, I deduced that it was Aphex from the necklace it had on. But I was just rediscovering the same charred corpse from Car 1. The disguised corpse and the car switch completely fooled me.
Using a dead body? Oh, that's a despairingly brilliant idea!
When the train arrived in Kanai Ward, it connected to a different, prearranged car 1.
And with that, the train once again had 5 cars. So much attaching and detaching. What a stupid, crazy, elaborate trick!
The peacekeepers were lying in wait at the station. As the sole survivor, I was set up as the one responsible for the murders.
And Amaterasu was in on it! That really turns me on!
You mean pisses me off, right?
During that time, the culprit stayed hidden in the main control room of the disguised Car 1 and waited for the peacekeepers to haul you in, Master. They were right there at the scene.
After burning all the master detectives, the culprit faked their own death and tried to frame me as the killer. It was a cunning, cold-blooded scheme.
And the evildoer who committed these countless contemptible crimes is none other than... Suhcra-Sensei!
It was you! This is the truth I've uncovered! Is that it? What's this?
It's the truth. It's the soul of the true culprit who made this mystery labyrinth.
The soul of the true culprit? Wait, what am I supposed to do with this?
Now it's time for the main event! Here we go! It's my time to shine! Surging bloodlust. Overflowing despair. The brilliant soul of Shinigami shall expunge this cursed case! Death to all deplorables! Ruin to the vile mystery labyrinth! Step right up, step right up! A series of locked-room murders based on an urban legend. Will we discover the true identity of the Nail Man? Truth bombs are about to be dropped! Time for the Deduction Denouement!
To solve the mystery of this string of events, we have to know who the Nail Man is first. The Nail Man is an urban legend of Kanai Ward. You write down the name of someone you want dead, and drive a nail through it and a doll to a tree behind the church. And the Nail Man will kill that person for you with a countless number of nails.
A string of murders exactly like that urban legend began half a year ago.
All of the crime scenes featured a corpse and dolls nailed down within a locked room. The first murder happened 6 months ago at a secret club in Kamasaki district.
The victim was none other than the geezer who owned the place, and the cause of death was strangulation. I heard the buy-in to place a bet was pretty steep, and cheating was rampant, so it was obviously a scummy place.
The key to the door was inside of a glass. And the vent that connects outside looked too high for escape to be possible.
But the culprit used the nails driven into the wall as footholds to climb. The proof? Why, the nails that were bent downward!
The vent was not screwed down at the time of the murder, so it could easily be removed and used as an escape route. The second murder happened 3 months ago. It was at a mansion near Ginma district.
The victim was some real estate agent who lived there, and the cause of death was again strangulation. He made a lot of money through shady real estate deals, so of course someone would be out to get him.
The door to the crime scene was the only possible entrance. But the key to that door was underneath the nailed-down victim. After the culprit escaped, some sort of trick was used to get the key back into the room.
A fishing line passed from the vent through the eye socket of the doll and propped up the upper body of the corpse. All that was left was to exit the room, lock it, throw the key in from the vent, and boom! You've got yourself a locked room mystery!
The key was tossed under the victim from the vent, and once the fishing line was retrieved, the corpse's upper body fell over, completing the crime scene.
The nails on the upper body didn't pierce through completely, so it wasn't nailed down at all.
The third murder happened 1 month ago in an art gallery storage room in Ginma district.
The skank's cause of death was blunt force trauma. She was a pretty lady who let her looks get to her head, and she got boom killed.
The key to the storage room was nailed to a painting through a doll. Another trick was used to get the key back inside the room here.
The painting with the doll nailed to it was propped up against the window, and then the culprit left the room. They nailed the key to the painting through the window, knocked it over, and bam! All done!
Those are the truths behind the past 3 cases. And now, there's been another murder at the clock tower in Kanai Ward.
The woman's cause of death was strangulation. Since you told that kid you'd take care of it, we gotta solve this case.
The clock tower crime scene is rather high up on the 3rd floor. The door was locked from the inside, and the window shutters were also locked. But there was rainwater under the window, and the nails in 2 of the dolls had rub marks.
In other words, the culprit must have hung a rope ladder from the dolls to escape out the window. With my logic, anything is possible.
Why are you imitating Halara? Anyway. The killer cut their footing on the way down from the window. That way, they could just pull on one side of the rope to retrieve the whole thing.
The shutters come down under their own weight, so they locked once the rope was collected. I'm surprised you noticed the auto-locking feature. You sure love your shutters, Master.
The rope ladder was collected, then burned in the church incinerator, which only clergy have access to.
That's how we know the mailman must be someone from the clergy.
But one question arose from this. The mailman killings share one more characteristic. All the victims were murdered by strangulation. This piece of information wasn't publicized.
But the cause of death in the art gallery murder was blunt force trauma. The strangulation marks were added later.
which means that it was someone mimicking the Nailman. But I already know the identity of the copycat killer. First, the Nailman must be someone thin enough to pass through the vent.
Someone with the skills to throw the key with precision.
And someone affiliated with the church.
The priest! You're the Nailman!
And the copycat is someone who knows that all of the victims were strangled to death.
Because he was the first witness in each case, the person capable of replicating the Nailman's crimes is...
The Worshipper! You're the copycat criminal!
This is the truth of the case!
What's that?
It's the truth. The soul of the true culprit who built this mystery labyrinth.
I see. It looks otherworldly, but there's an ominous air around it.
Thank you, Halara. I was only able to make it this far thanks to you.
I only kept my part of the deal. You made the right choice hiring me. But I will say one thing. You've taken another step toward being a detective. That much is certain. I, Halara Nightmare, acknowledge you.
Really, Halara? You do?
All right, all eyes on Shinigami.
What's about to happen?
Oh, isn't it obvious? It's the moment we've all been waiting for! Time to boom kill the bad guy! Surging bloodlust. Overflowing despair. The brilliant soul of Shinigami shall expunge this cursed case! Death to all deplorables! Ruin to the vile mystery labyrinth! Stars shine, reach the glorious stellar spiral! Stunning let's go around
This is just a guess, but you three weren't actually on bad terms with each other, were you? In fact, it was all an act to get revenge for Aiko. You all cherished the same picture with her. It was originally a single photo of you all together, with Aiko in the middle. You were all close friends.
And when you connect the pictures together, everyone is there, smiling. So, why?
Come on, we've got work to do before you get all sappy. Let's go. One more push and we'll be done with this labyrinth.
What would a hero do? A real defender of justice would defeat evil here and now and be done with it. But I'm no hero. All I want is the truth. And the truth is right here. So why go any further? Will solving this mystery really make anyone happy?
Master, do you sympathize with them? That's not something a detective should do. Your job is to solve mysteries, isn't it? If so, you have to expose the truth. You have to prove it in a way anyone can understand and anyone can see. Detectives aren't defenders of justice, they're defenders of truth.
Defenders of truth.
A detective must never overlook a mystery. Any and all truths must be exposed. A detective must always prioritize solving a case. Emotions must be discarded to reach a perfect solution through a perfect deduction. It's easier said than done. Yuma, if you can't do it, I can take your place.
No, I'll do it. I'll take responsibility. I'll see this through.
Step right up! Step right up! A tragedy that struck an academy stage. The death of a high school girl casting a shadow over 4 bickering theater club members. Truth bombs are about to be dropped! Time for the Deduction Denouement!
This case begins with Aiko's death 6 months ago. Aiko was thought to have committed suicide by jumping off the roof. But in truth, Kaden murdered her.
The shoes left on the roof had dirt on them from the flower bed at the crime scene. The bloodstains on the bricks were also unnatural, and it was obvious that an amateur had faked it.
If it wasn't a suicide, it would contradict Kaden's testimony. However, she didn't originally intend to kill Aiko. It was a crime of passion.
So they got into an argument, Kaden saw red, then boom? Women are so scary.
Yoshiko, Waruna, and Kurane probably realized the truth behind what happened. The 3 teamed up to avenge Aiko. They used the dress rehearsal to commit this crime.
Regardless of the reason, getting together to plan a murder is pretty crazy.
Yoshiko in the audience was to bring the poisoned glass into the theater hall.
Once unsealed, the poison is harmless after 30 minutes. So, she went to the lab 15 minutes after the play began.
The poison container is too big to transport unnoticed, so she applied it to the glass in her bag with a paintbrush.
Thus, the poison glass was created. She brought it back to the theater hall, then went on standby at the right end of the front row.
Waruna, who was acting on stage, was to switch out the poisoned glass.
During the 5-second blackout 30 minutes into the play, Yoshiko placed the poison glass in the wings. Warina, on stage, retrieved it and hid it under her costume.
Then, in the scene where she approaches the shelf, she exchanged the glass there with the poisoned one.
Switching in the murder weapon on stage while everyone is watching? What a pervy exhibitionist!
What's perverted about that? And Kurane, on the lights, would guide Karin to take the poisoned glass.
Then came the duel of poison cups! The 2 glasses on the shelf had juice poured into them. Karin and Warina shuffled them in a way the audience couldn't see.
But Kurane, who was on the catwalk directly above the stage, saw exactly which glass held the poison. She confirmed the location of the poisoned glass and shone the spotlight on it first.
Karin drank from that glass 45 minutes after the start of the play. Winner, winner! Poisoning complete! That was so long! Good job!
Kurane told Karin of a change in stage direction, where the victim was to take the glass the spotlight hits first. Karin followed this instruction to take the poisoned one. The whole sequence of events for this crime would have been impossible for a single person. Their cooperation was also a means to conceal their involvement. But I can't shake the feeling that there was some other reason behind it.
The ruthless, disgusting criminals who conducted this murder are... Yoshiko! Warina! Kurane! You are the killers! Wait, what?
They may have pretended to always be at odds with one another, but deep down, they were bonded through their shared admiration for Aiko. This is my answer! Was there really no other way? Was there no way to prove Karin did this without killing her?
That's not possible. Not in Kanai Ward. The Peacekeepers bend the truth whichever way they want to. The 3 girls couldn't get justice from them. Which led to this crime.
But it doesn't make it right! How long did you put on an act for this?
Aiko was our sunlight. Wherever she went, we were meant to be there with her. She was everything to us. We were together ever since we were young. Her dream was our dream. We were nothing special, but she called us her rivals. Those words encouraged us to carry on. But now she's gone. Everything's hopeless now. The 3 of us investigated Aiko's death. I used my parents' connections to view top-secret case files. But no matter what we did, the Peacekeepers refused to reopen the case. Because Karin's father is a big shot at Amaterasu Corporation. That's why we had to do it ourselves. We wanted revenge. Revenge became everything for us. And to get it, we pretended to fight amongst ourselves. We are actors, after all. But we don't have to anymore, right? We don't have to keep this up. We put on quite a show. Didn't we, Aiko?
This leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Then again, most cases do. But that's the end. We can finally return to the real world. I hope the girls open up like that in the real world too.
No, I don't think they can.
Huh? Why is that? Oh, also, where's Shinigami?
Right here.
Well, what do you think? Did you fall in love with me? I know you did. You must have, yeah?
I already told you. I will never fall for you. You're seriously getting on my nerves. You're annoying and exhausting.
Desuhiko?
Did you think I was serious? I was just testing the bond between you two.
Our bond? It's more like a curse, at least to me.
Right. I was just testing. I wasn't serious at all. I didn't get rejected, okay? I didn't.
All right, just calm down.
Anyway, let's do it. Time to exterminate the souls of the true culprits and destroy the mystery labyrinth.
Wait, Shinigami, do we really have to do this? I mean,
They're murderers. The reason why doesn't matter. I make my living reaping the souls of criminals. Because I'm Shinigami. Surging bloodlust. Overflowing despair. The brilliant soul of Shinigami shall expunge this cursed case! Death to all deplorables! Ruin to the vile mystery labyrinth! bomb scare, a flood, and a suicide to throw the whole town into chaos! Truth bombs are about to be dropped! Time for the Deduction Denouement!
It all started with a request from the Resistance. Shachi asked me to set up security cameras around the city.
You got those cameras from someone by the name of Servan. But they had bombs inside them.
I had no idea, so I set up those camera bombs all around the city. The culprit hijacked Shachi's original plan and conducted a series of crimes. The bomb set up in the phone booth of Marunamon District exploded first. Luckily, there were no casualties. But the culprit also bombed the drain in Marunamon District at the same time.
Someone snitched and said you were responsible, but that must have been the culprit too.
Since the Peacekeepers' eyes were on me, it made it easier to pull off the rest of their crimes. The culprit took Shachi's gun and went to the roof of the Resistance hideout in Doya District.
Shachi followed soon after. I saw him being chased by the Peacekeepers. The culprit was waiting there to ambush him.
I was heading up the emergency stairs to the roof, but along the way...
Bang! We heard a ringing gunshot!
Shachi was ambushed by the culprit and shot to death. Once it was finished, they placed the gun in Shachi's right hand to make it look like a suicide.
But it was actually a left-handed gun! Getting caught because of your own cover-up is borderline weak sauce!
Why borderline? With their cover set up, the culprit jumped into the open drain and escaped from the roof unseen.
I thought it was impossible to jump off the roof. But the area was already flooded, so the drain was filled with water.
Right after the escape, I arrived on the rooftop and discovered Shachi's body.
And kaboom! The hideout exploded!
The drain was buried in the rubble from this explosion. A bomb had been set in advance to hide the killer's escape. After that, we all went around town trying to defuse the bombs. The culprit took advantage of the chaos to open the valve of the reservoir upstream from the power plant.
Since the drain had been dammed in the explosion, when all that backed up water had even more added to it, Marunamon District became totally drenched and shitty.
Right, it became a drenched city. Marunamon District is now flooded, and many facilities have safes made by Amaterasu Corporation. The banks are no exception.
These safes are heavy and difficult to move, but because they're so airtight, they can float on water.
As a result, they all floated out of the flooded banks. Collecting these safes was the culprit's true goal.
Sinking an entire district just to be a small-time looter. I can't tell if the guy thinks big or small.
The only ones who could commit these crimes were the resistance leaders with access to Shachi's gun.
And only one guy was a good enough swimmer to dive right into the drain.
Shachi really did try to save this city. But the culprit not only took over his plan, but killed and framed him.
This criminal lost his pride and dignity as a member of the Resistance, becoming nothing more than a money grubber. And his true identity is...
Icardi! It was you! finished!
I hate this city. I was sick of all of Shachi's idealistic nonsense. Fighting the Peacekeepers wouldn't have changed anything. That's why I was gonna take the money and get out of here. It's this city that's wrong. This rotten place.
Is this the hidden treasure? It is far different than what I was imagining.
I think so. I felt the same way when I first saw one.
So, this is it. I was not much help after all. I relied on you the entire time, Yuma.
That's not true. You're a great partner, Fubuki.
Really?
Yeah, really.
I am grateful to have joined you on this adventure, Yuma. I think it helped me grow as a person, just a little bit. Well, you are gonna forget all of it soon. Huh? What? I am sorry for being so rude to you. What? I assumed you were a vulgar god of darkness, based solely on your looks. Yeah, that's pretty rude of you. But now I realize that you have been a wonderful guide. When you said you believed in Yuma, I realized there was a bond of trust between the two of you. And now, frankly, I adore you. Please consider being my friend. You're gonna forget it all anyway. Yuma, while I may be ignorant and naive, one day, I hope to be a great adventurer and detective, just like you. The labyrinth-delving elite bomb diffuser, he who tames the god of darkness, holy great detective warrior of light. You truly are amazing, Yuma.
That title is getting way too long.
Enough chit-chat. It's time for the part you've all been waiting for. Huh? What is it? What is about to happen? Wait a minute. Do you mean we are going to leap into the basin? No. It's time to boom kill the bad guy! Surging bloodlust. Overflowing despair. The brilliant soul of Shinigami shall expunge this cursed case! Death to all deplorables! Through into the vile mystery labyrinth! You've already come this far. You've got to finish this. What'll happen to the other master detectives if you die here? Didn't you say you wanted to expose the truth and save everyone?
Vivia, you told me that the time would come when I'd have to prove my conviction. The conviction to accept the truth, no matter how cruel it may be. Now is that time, isn't it?
Yes, and yet you intend to continue. If you're prepared for it.
Hey! You better not get in Master's way again!
Yuma, do you remember when the Chief's soul called out to us?
Huh?
Yeah, the truth is cruel. Never in history has the truth been known to be kind. But you know what? Turning your eyes away from the truth and living a lie is harsh too. In the end, you can never look away from the truth. As long as you live, you must face that pain. So really, what's the point of worrying so much about it? When you're lost, believe in your own heart. That way, even if things end up all wrong, at least you can stand proud.
I always averted my eyes from the truth. For my own sake. My own peace and quiet. But I could never say with confidence that I was proud of myself. In the end, I was just running away from everything. That's why I entrust this to you, Yuma.
And trust what?
You signed a pact with the Death God in your desire for the truth. I want to see your conviction. As long as you don't stray from exposing all truth, I believe you'll be able to face it, cruel as it may be. I want to see it through to the end. It's why I followed you here. In that sense, we're accomplices. If you must bring down the Chief, then I will lend a hand. I won't avert my eyes any longer. I, too, want to live with my head held high. Because I, too, am a detective.
Vivia.
When you're lost, believe in your own heart. That way, even if things end up all wrong, at least you can stand proud.
I understand, Chief Yako. Thank you for everything you've done for me!
Step right up, step right up! Peacekeepers, a CEO, a research doctor, a hitman, and master detectives! 2 dead bodies, but lots of shady characters! Truth bombs are about to be dropped! Time for the Deduction Denouement!
The victim in this case is one Dr. Weska. This incident features a sinister and meticulously detailed plot centered on the doctor.
The old geezer was holed up inside a lab at Amaterasu HQ. He was a total hermit in the critical lab, with a totally overkill security system.
The culprit made thorough preparations beforehand to break through that system.
Boom killing a shut-in is hard work. The humane thing to do is to reintroduce him to society first.
Yeah, with that out of the way. Posing as a hitman, the culprit sent a death threat to the Peacekeepers, the detective agency, and the research lab. At the same time, they contracted a real hitman and had him infiltrate the research facility.
They spilled the beans about Gramps being in danger to lure both the Peacekeepers and the detectives to the lab.
You see, the Master Detective's presence at the scene was an indispensable part of the plan. It was how the culprit gained access to the research facility, after all. The hitman infiltrated the lab exactly as planned. And we arrived with Mikoto at the same time.
Stuff went down, blah blah blah, and Master got locked up by that Yomi guy.
I was rescued by Desuhiko and the culprit, who were disguised as peacekeepers. With the real peacekeepers rushing around, the culprit took advantage of the turmoil to sneak into the lab. But after catching up with them, the power suddenly went out, separating the culprit from the rest of the group.
The blackout itself was caused by the hitman, right? And getting separated was all part of the culprit's plan.
Right. They used the blackout as an opportunity to hide in the vents in the airlock chamber. Afterwards, we headed to the critical lab to check on the doctor's condition, just like the culprit directed us. But since that lab used a separate power supply, nothing strange had happened.
This whole "the doctor's in danger" spiel was an act, huh? He made a fool of you, Master! What a dick!
But then, someone attacked the doctor while we were trying to talk with him over the intercom. We had to get into the doctor's lab.
But that time, the old geezer was playing games with us. And he even tried to kill you and the others with a trap! That bastard wanted to use your dead bodies! He really got you there, Master!
I don't see why you're so happy about it. The doctor's sham made the case even more confusing. Even if we tried to get to the doctor, the critical lab was guarded by tight security. The only way through was by using an Amapal. The culprit rode on it by emerging from their hiding place in the airlock vent and jumping onto the robot's head.
All aboard the Amapal Express! First stop, a shower of toxic gas! Humans can't protect themselves against the gas, but since it's not instantly fatal, it wasn't a problem. Next up, the panel chamber and high-voltage shocks! One wrong move, and it was insta-death! But thanks to that sheltered skink, we got all the continues we could want. So, we managed a perfect clear! The critical lab was finally breached!
The culprit had anticipated we would get through this way. They also knew they would die over and over as a result. The camera feed was affected when the culprit jumped on. I should have realized what was happening.
No use crying over spilt blood. On to the next thing! Where were we? Oh yeah! To open the door to the doctor's lab, Amapal had to reach out its arm and hit a switch. And when the door opened wide enough for a person to squeeze through, the killer snuck inside.
Amapal can't follow any new commands while its arm is extended, so the culprit didn't show up on the camera.
Then, the culprit boom killed the old geezer using the same knife as the hitman. Gramps was pretty much deaf, so a backstab was easy peasy.
Then, the murderer tried to leave the room before Amapal entered. But they knocked the robot over on the way out.
They then went back into the airlock chamber vent to wait for you and the others to go by.
We entered the critical lab and found the doctor's body. The culprit used that time to get out of the vent and head for the hallway.
That was when they were found by the hitman. And stabbed.
They'd already been in contact with a toxic gas, so death was inevitable. However, dying by gas would expose them as the doctor's killer. So they hired the hitman to kill them, thereby concealing any involvement.
I guess that means the killer completely trusted in the Master Detective's capabilities. They knew those powers would get them close to the doctor. But why were they willing to die to hide the crime?
I can't say for certain. Was it his pride as a detective? Did he simply not want his friends to know? Whatever it may be, I'm prepared to face the truth. The culprit who murdered Dr. Weska, and even included his own death in the plot.
Yako Furio! It was you!
I will expose the truth! But why? Chief Yako, why? Why didn't you ever talk to us about this? Why did it have to end this way? Why didn't you tell us? Is this really what you wanted? Can you even hear me?
It doesn't matter who it is. Exterminating the real culprit's soul and destroying the mystery labyrinth. That's why I'm here. Surging bloodlust. Overflowing despair. The brilliant soul of Shinigami shall expunge this cursed case! Death to all deplorables! Ruin to the vile mystery labyrinth!
Yes, homunculi have pink blood. Maybe they were made that way to differentiate them from their originals. Now, you're finally seeing the big picture. I've been waiting for this!
Master's mystery phantom sure doesn't seem scared of these mysteries being solved. Anyway, we gotta beat him! Otherwise, you'll get caught in its destruction!
Fine. Let's end this. It's time to expose the truth of Kanai Ward's ultimate secret! It's over! You? You think you can do it?
That's a wrap, folks! I do these recaps out of kindness, you know. I'm just saying, it'd be nice to get a little appreciation.
Oh, sorry. I thought this was all a part of your process or something.
Anyway, time to boom kill this mystery phantom.
Let's expose all the facts and finish this once and for all. It's time for the very last Deduction Denouement! It all started 10 years ago. The UG tasked both its own research facility and Amaterasu Corp to conduct homunculus research.
They were trying to create an immortal army of homunculi that could just come back to life, right? If that happened, the death gods would be out of a job!
By having the two organizations compete with each other, they hoped to rush development along. And it was the UG's research facility that managed to create a homunculus first. That drove Amaterasu into a panic. So, 3 years ago, Project Homunculus was conducted under Dr. Weska's direction.
Acting like they were just testing for a contagious disease, they took blood from all the people in Kanai Ward. They were turning the town upside down, trying to find DNA that would help them make homunculi. They got beat to the punch and were rushing for results. Huge death flag, if you ask me.
Ultimately, the experiment was a failure. And their efforts resulted in nothing more than a mass of defective homunculi. Defective homunculi have two fatal flaws. One, they revive after death with fully repaired bodies, but their minds deteriorate and they become zombies.
2, sunlight whips them into a bloody frenzy, but they won't remember what they did afterwards. It's kinda like when an alcoholic corporate drone with a lot of pent-up stress gets a picture at the company party.
I'm not sure that's really the same. Anyway, the newly created defective homunculi were exposed to sunlight and immediately went on a rampage. They attacked Kanai Ward and murdered all of the residents.
A certain masked man then created a rain cloud generator by making some extreme modifications to a public bathhouse. He covered the whole city with those clouds.
The rain clouds blocked out the sun and brought the defective homunculi out of their berserk state. Their memories reverted back to when their blood had been drawn 1 week before.
The blank week mystery refers to the period where they went out of control and lost their memories. So basically, Kanai Ward's ultimate secret is...
3 years ago, the defective homunculi of all Kanai Ward residents murdered their human counterparts. Exposed to sunlight at the very moment of their creation, they went berserk and wiped out the entire city. Rain clouds then blocked out the sun, and their human memories returned.
The defective homunculi have no idea they're not human. And they continue on to this day in this land of never-ending rain. They just live their lives, happily munching away on human flesh-filled buns.
The pink blood wasn't caused by the rain. It's conclusive evidence that they were actually homunculi.
This is the truth, behind Kanai Ward's ultimate secret!